How's it going, guys? Now, navigating the online fitness industry is hard. You've got men and women that are infinitely more qualified than we will ever be, aggressively disagreeing with each other. I always think this in regards to nutrition. If we use, as an example, plant-based diet versus paleo, how the hell are we ever gonna know if two people with PhDs, even two professors, don't even agree with each other? And it's the same thing with all things training too. What's the best training split? Are deep squats good or bad? How often should we train and for how long? Is a high-fat diet a good or a bad thing? What's the best ratio of strength and hypertrophy work? And how wide should your stance be when you're deadlifting, and how wide should your grip be when you're benching? And when even doctors and professors can't agree on this stuff, it's going to be very, very hard for us to reconcile all of these conflicting messages. So what I want to do today is share with you some of the wisdom that I've gleaned as somebody who's been lost for years in the labyrinth of online fitness information, and hopefully provide you with a couple of tools that you can use to make even a little bit of sense of this crazy world. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Jim Galvin, and on this channel we cover all things training, nutrition, biohacking, and ancestral living to help you guys work out what you need to do based on your individual biology to help you improve your performance, your health, and your physique. And today I want to share with you what I've learned over the last couple of years to help navigate your way through all of the conflicting messages in the world of online fitness information. Okay, so the most important thing I'm going to mention straight off the bat is that 99% of the information on the internet shared from personal trainers, from coaches, all the way up to academics is under the guise of a standard physiology and a one-size-fits-all approach. I know that might sound weird because we all know there is no one-size-fits-all, and there is no one-size-fits-all is literally an expression. The concept, guys, the idea that people will respond differently to different stimulus because people are different sounds pretty obvious, right? But its acceptance into the fitness industry is actually pretty recent. And I wouldn't even really say it's completely mainstream now. Nowhere is this more true than in the world of nutrition. Let's say you've got two guys, you've got Tim and you've got Tom. Tim is pale, he's got red hair, he's like typically like Celtic. Northern European background through and through, right? And you've got Tom. Tom is a man of colour, both parents are African American, with the vast majority of the last few thousand generations of ancestry being from Central Africa. If all Tim and Tom both do in the gym is strength training, a lot of heavy lifting, they will both adapt in the same way, right? To a point. In that, they'll get stronger if they're training for strength. X stimulus equals Y response and adaptation, generally speaking, right? In the world of nutrition, however, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Tim and Tom would undoubtedly not have the same optimal diet. They might be able to survive on the same diet if they ate every meal together, but it's unlikely they would thrive optimally on the same stuff. And even in terms of training, just because we're conceding to the idea that strength training will in some way hopefully make you stronger for both of them, should Tim and Tom both be doing exactly the same number of reps for the same number of sets, with every rep at the same tempo and with the same rest interval between? Should they be doing the same volume and intensity for every single session? And should they be training the same number of sessions per week? Probably not, right? And not only might you see large generalized differences between people of different ancestral backgrounds, again, if your ancestors are Eskimo or if your ancestors are from sub-Saharan Africa, you're probably going to thrive on slightly different inputs. You'll also see fairly sizable differences within people of the same group as well. So when the internet is trying to convince you that a certain approach is the best thing for you to do, not because it's fun or might be a great addition to your training or a way to mix things up, but because it's scientifically backed to be beneficial for everyone, you absolutely have a license to tut and roll your eyes in the most passive-aggressive way possible. Okay, so now we know that one size definitely doesn't fit all, and that different people will fairly obviously respond to different stimuluses in different ways. We all have different tolerances to volume and intensity. We also have different predispositions to certain components of fitness. And in my opinion anyway, there's a huge swing in the way that we respond to different foods and different food groups for a plethora of different reasons, but ancestry being one of the big ones. So what do we do about it, Jim? And how do we make sense of all of this different information on the internet? How do we select which bits are relevant for us? Just give me a second, guys. I've got a few more minutes of fairly amusing rants to go first before we start looking at the solutions. All this bitching is actually quite cathartic. And another reason why I think it's a pretty hard world to navigate and that we shouldn't automatically trust everything that we see online about health and fitness. I believe that 95+% of everything that a personal trainer and coach would communicate online is incredibly subjective. And for most coaches and trainers' selection bias, I believe that what they're trying to communicate would only have to have worked for one client for them to feel confident enough to share it as something that will be helpful to everyone. A lot of these people, a lot of these trainers, they do want to help people. I think overall it's very well intentioned. I think the number of men and women that are deliberately spreading lies is incredibly slim. Most of these people, I believe, are incredibly passionate about sharing stuff and information that they genuinely believe will be of value to other people. But the volume in the amount of subjectivity in this field, guys, is incredibly dangerous, especially when the curator of this information isn't aware that they are being subjective and instead believes that the thing they are sharing with you is going to be incredibly helpful to flipping everyone on earth because it worked for one of their clients once. And the third reason, very quickly, I believe it's very hard to trust everything that we see on the internet in the fitness industry is because there are a lot of egos here. And that doesn't mean that people will only vehemently stick to their guns about a particular discussion or fitness training principle now. It also means that they may not be too willing to admit that they were in fact wrong about something else in the past. Laying claim to a theory that you now know to be wrong just because you don't want to admit that you were in fact wrong about it in the past is kind of a dangerous way to live. Okay, so now let's take a deep dive into the good stuff. How do we make sense of it all? I know I alluded to the fact earlier that we are indeed all different and that we will respond to different things in different ways, and I do believe that is true. In my opinion, far more in the world of nutrition than in training. In training, however, it kind of depends where you are along that spectrum and where you are along the journey. If you're pretty competitive in your field and you are seeking international representation and you feel as though you've plateaued and you really kind of want to break through that plateau and take yourself and your performance to the next level, then maybe look at something like a DNA fit test. This will give you an insight into your own natural predisposition to either strength or endurance and give you some other absolutely amazing metrics too. If you are like most of us, however, and I would venture a guess that is 95+% of you guys now watching this video, and training that is something we do where even though it might be our primary foundational passion, it is not our profession, I think it's very productive to acknowledge a certain truth. It is effort, not specificity, that will dictate a good, sustainable improvement in the gym. One of my old coaches, Will Badenoch from the Plymouth Performance Gym in Plymouth, surprisingly, used to say that the most generic plan ever, but followed with like white-knuckling, teeth-gritted intensity, is going to yield more positive results long-term than the most unbelievably tailored, individualized, bespoke program followed half-assed. I do get that this might kind of sound at odds with what I was just talking about the fact that we need to recognize that we're all different. But I do kind of recognize that there are a lot of people out there now kind of looking for a silver bullet, kind of looking for this, you know, mythical secret formula that they can find on a flipping Tibetan scroll that they can apply to their training, which might mean that it negates the amount of effort that they actually have to put in. And unfortunately, this doesn't exist. Effort is necessary. And a lot of time, the ability to tolerate discomfort over a prolonged period of time is incredibly closely, even directly correlated to improving your performance. Sorry, remember though, I'm not here to tell you what is easy. I'm here to tell you what is right. That being said, it is vital that we find something that makes that struggle feel not as much like struggle. Hard work can be fun when it is applied to something that we enjoy, which is why enjoyment is absolutely crucial. This kind of links to the effort thing, guys. If we still want to be training in the same way and applying as much effort in 6 to 12 months, we need to find a way that applying that effort doesn't feel too laborious and is actually enjoyable. An acceptance that we need to be doing something that we do enjoy, especially when it's 3, 4, 5 hours plus per week of our life, will hopefully free us or at least mitigate a little bit of shame that we're not good enough because we can't keep pushing through something that we flipping hate for 5 hours a week. If you're saying that you kind of love your last boot camp, but you couldn't keep going because of X, the majority of you are flipping lying. Unless you got pregnant or fired, the chances are you could have made it work. That's why CrossFit can be so popular. The community it makes and the endless amount of tangible improvements means people love it. And therefore somehow, as if by magic, all of life's changes at work and home, etc., even though they absolutely still do happen, somehow don't seem to affect your membership or attendance at the box. Because you enjoy it so much, you find a way to make it work. Another tip for navigating the plethora of information on kind of exercise prescription is to find a program that is as uncomplicated as possible. Taking it one step further, find a program that requires as little brain power as possible. Decision fatigue and cerebral burnout are extremely real things. If you're rocking up at the gym solo every single day, having to decide there and then in the moment what the hell you're going to do for the next 45 to 75 minutes, or you get there and you're having to translate the bloody hieroglyphics of your new program, neither of those situations bode particularly well for you sustaining that level of effort in that program for the next 6 months. You are already well on the way of just chucking that new routine in the bin. Hopefully that all makes sense in regards to training, guys, and in regards to nutrition. I know I've said this a million times on this channel and on pretty much flipping every podcast I've been lucky enough to be a guest on, just get a bloody intolerance test. And then you can start avoiding the things that are, even though you're not getting symptoms from them, melting your insides. And get a DNA fit test to give you your optimal macro breakdown. Any program that says that you need to be on 50% carbs or 15% carbs to achieve your goal is all just flipping conjecture until you know what your body responds best to. There is so much conflicting information out there, guys. And I do empathise because it can be incredibly hard to make sense of it. Acknowledging that we may never fully understand the intricacies of either performance or nutritional science, but anchoring ourselves with a reminder to do these two things. Number one, pursue a greater level of understanding as to what our body needs and wants, how it responds to different training methods. As an example, if squats make you sore all the time, just stop doing them. And for both training and nutrition, just give your body the foundation of what it wants. And number two, remember why we work out and eat well in the first place. To live a life that's able-bodied, mobile, full of energy and looks good in whatever you're doing. But that enjoying the process of this pursuit should absolutely be ranked near the top of our decision metrics when making the decision as to what training program I'm going to follow. As always, really do hope that was of value to you guys. Any questions or requests of anything you'd like me to cover in the future, just put them down in the comment section below. And as always, beautiful team, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll see you soon.